Cute.
occupation. My name is Sean Gardner. A lot of people know me as Sean Ryan. I do graphic design, web design, branding, marketing for people. I enjoy what I do, love what I do. I'm married to a beautiful woman. Her name is Ebony Gardner. Blessed me with the chance to take my last name, and I love her for it every day. Two kids, Landon and Leah. My son is 11. My daughter is turning 8. And yeah, you know, whew, the two kids, wife, two kids, dog. All we need is a picket fence. You know what I mean?
There it is, the American dream, baby, the American
There it is.
dream. So tell us a little about it, man. So you're a dad. You've been in the
Yeah,
game for a minute. You got a couple
game.
stars on your on your shirt. How you like being a dad, man?
I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot because when I was a kid, my dad was a big ass kid. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? So it's just like I, in tune, turned into a big ass kid.
there you go.
And I enjoy. I was saying to my son yesterday, I was like, oh, we live on the east side of town, so going to Cascade 28th Street take about 20, 25 minutes. You know what I mean? It was just
Yeah.
great to just ride with my kids, and we went out and did a couple things and went home. And I was just like, I just like kicking with y'all, man. I like hearing y'all thoughts. We listen to music, we kick it, we chill. And
Uh-huh.
it's just great, you know what I'm saying? And Dad, come look at this and check this out. They want to play the game and all this stuff. And when they're not so involved with being kids and they want to come and chill with you and listen to you and things like that, you get to see how they faces look when they're learning from you. You know what I'm saying? When they're learning and what they're engaging from and what they're trying to understand from you. And it's a blessing, man. I love it.
That's amazing, man. So what do you think is the most rewarding part to you about being a father?
Uh, it's a lot. I'm really I feel rewarded when I am able to reward them when they do something that I have instilled in them. If that makes sense.
Okay.
So if I instilled in you, to be respectful or be kind or don't show your ass out in public. You know what I'm saying? Like
Facts.
things of those natures is like, my son can look at another kid acting up in the store and then look at us like, I know I ain't gonna try that. Heck yeah, you're not. Like those things are like rewarding to me because it's like we're raising young adults, we're raising young people to become productive citizens in this world. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
that's
Like it's rewarding to me to be able to provide the world with my offspring.
yeah,
It's rewarding to see how creative my kids can be and get them to learn the things that I learned late in life. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, no, let's see what we can instill into y'all early. Let's see what we can instill into y'all now. You know what I mean? So I get really rewarded when they're able to, like I said, it's a lot. I get rewarded when they, mirror some of the things that I do or my wife does. I feel rewarded when they, speak highly of themselves because we instill
mm,
self-esteem. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
I get, of course, I get rewarded when they get, good grades and things like that. That's a given.
yeah.
But it's the other intangibles that I get excited to be
Abs-
able to see.
Absolutely. So with you got one of each. What's that dynamic like? Boy and girl. Like how did you train? Because we all know how it goes, right? You get the boy, you're like, oh my son, you throw him in the dirt, you pick him up, you brush him off, he's still good, you still rock with him. And your daughter comes in, it's like flowers and doves and scents and stuff. Like how do you how's
Yeah.
that dynamic work for you in your household?
I don't. It's funny. 'Cause I treat them the same, and
Okay.
you know what I mean. I treat them the same. I don't do the boy girl thing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I don't
interesting.
do the boy girl thing, and I think it's because I'm the oldest of six. There's three boys, three girls, and I punch my sisters just as much as I punch my brother. You know what I mean? So it's just like, with me having a boy and a girl,
Uh,
you know, it don't even be me. It be my wife saying, "Sean, stop being so rough with her." You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
hell, why? You know what I'm saying? Like we wrestle, she want to wrestle, you gonna get it too. You know what
There
I
you
mean?
go.
I walk her randomly and I punch her in the shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Like it just, I give her the exact same stuff I
Yeah.
give my son. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't do the boy girl thing. I've never been a fan of that.
The love of
So
people.
man, equal, 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 equal. And like I'll tell my daughter, like, no, no, you're not dating. And I'll tell my son, hell no, you're not dating.
There
What
you
the
go.
hell's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
equal, 100%. I treat y'all the same. It's not, no extras.
Fair enough. So you mentioned something earlier. You said that growing up, your dad was a big kid, and that's kind of your blueprint, your experience. What other things do you feel like you got from your dad that allowed you to be the kind of person that you are today? Because I mean, I guess if you don't mind, just digging a little bit into your background. Like, did you grow up in a two-parent household? How was that dynamic? Were your parents married? Like, how did you grow up to get to the point that you are today?
Okay, so I was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Hmm.
My parents were not together when I was born. Um, they were not together for 2 years until my dad came to his senses
There you
and
go.
begged my mom to move to California. So he moved us to California, and from there on, I was raised in California. Um, and my mother and father went on to have five more kids. I had my mom. I had my mom and dad were married for 10 years. I had my dad on this earth for 12, and he passed away when I was 13.
Wow. Okay. My condolences.
Um, so for the time frame that I had him, I'm looking at his parenting style from a children's point of view. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I didn't get what he went through as a male from a man's perspective as a man,
Mhm.
as a husband, as a father. So those are questions I always wish I had the chance to ask and had the ability to do. But what I try to do is fill in the gaps
Mhm.
mentally, or what would. I believe that he went through these type of trials and tribulations. I mean, I asked my mom, like, some things, she'd be like, your father, did A, B, and C. So it's just like, or my mom would tell me, you're a lot like your father. You reserved or laid back or whatever may have you. I turn everything to something funny as I can, because that's just, not only is it a coping mechanism, but not everything needs to be a long drawn out serious situation. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
how long are we going to wallow? You know what I'm saying? Let's pick it up.
Mhm.
Let's laugh about it and move on. I don't even like sitting in shit for too long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when it comes to my dad was a huge, and it's on my dad's side of the family. Like, a lot of the family, especially the men, are workaholics. So my dad always worked, always, always. Even though we didn't grow up in the most safest areas, even though we still grew up with like welfare and food stamps and things like that, my dad was still working his ass off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just like, he was always at work, at work, at work. But if you let me take a nap, we'll do whatever y'all want to do. You know
Oh
what I'm saying?
wow.
So let me take a nap. Let me take a nap. I'm tired. Let me
Yeah.
take a nap. I take out to the park. We go to Toys R Us. We'll do whatever y'all want to do. We'll play football,
And he did the
basketball, whatever.
follow through.
He did it. He'll wake up. You know what I'm saying? He'll wake up and then, all right, y'all still want to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to. Yeah, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Are we walking or driving? What we doing? You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
And he'll do it. He'll play the video games. He'll talk to you about certain things. He and one of the biggest thing about him being a big kid is that my dad had a GI Joe collection. It
okay.
was his GI Joe collection. Nobody else's toys, nothing else. All right, you bet not call them a doll. They are action figures. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Call what they
so
are.
yeah, call them what they are. And when you're done, you better put them outfits back in their boxes. You better put them. You better put everything back right because they were
I love
his. You know what I
it.
mean? So like that was how we bonded with my
Yeah.
with our dad. We played with the action figures. We played video games. We played sports. I was more of a on the track and basketball, but him and my little brother were more into football. You know what I'm saying? So we'll play football every now and then, but I wasn't the biggest fan of actually playing football.
Mhm.
Everybody else was, but I just go to go, bond with my dad. You know what I mean? Or we'll just, or he'll and I do that. I do this with my kids. Like, every now and then, I'm gonna take one of y'all with me. We're gonna go out to eat and chill, whatever, whatever. So my dad would just like scoop me up. We'll go to Denny's or some shit. You know what I'm saying? So I do that with my kids now. I'll be like, I'm gonna take Landon with me. We're gonna go somewhere chill. You know what I mean? I'm taking you. We're gonna go somewhere chill, just talk. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that I definitely transferred over as an adult and with my kids, like just having that, it's it's always a pull and push of the kids. Like, I want my attention, You know what I mean? So I'm gonna be
Mhm.
here collectively for both of y'all, but every now and then I'm gonna separate y'all up, and then we're gonna go and do something. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna
Mhm.
go and just chill so you can get your one on one. You know what I mean? And get that. So that's definitely one thing I did. Staying youthful is another thing I did, and using that opportunity, being a child with them in the child space to then bond with them is another thing that I pulled into. In me being a father. So yeah.
Wow. Wow, man. That's a big deal because I think like that's one of the things, especially up to us. It's generational, right?
Yep.
Because essentially, your dad is from the generation of I'm out of work. Don't nobody talk to me. I'm about to go lay down. Right.
Yeah.
That's essentially like that's most of the dads from that generation. My dad's generation as well. So it's interesting that your dad took the approach of no, I'm gonna make sure I set the time out to give you guys this attention. Just give me a second. Let me let me cool. Let me
Hmm.
rest my eyes for a hot minute, and then we can get back to it. Do you feel like that's something that came from like? And I don't know, how much you know about your grandfather. So, do you feel like that's something that he got growing up, or do you feel like that's something he himself learned along his journey in becoming a man and being a father and things of that nature?
That's a question I don't know. My grandfather was a pastor.
Okay.
And I have a few pastors in my family. My grandfather was a pastor. He grew a church out in Kalamazoo, and I don't know much about his parenting. You know what I'm saying? I just knew he was hard to the nose with it. You know what I mean? So I think my dad. I think every generation will take what they did not like from their parents and be like, I'm gonna do better in this area. You know
Yo,
what I'm saying?
yo.
For my kids, and I think my dad, like I said, my uncle hated when I said this because my uncle has like this big group chat with all the family members, and he didn't like when I said this, but it's true. Workaholics. A lot of the people on my dad's side of the family, we are true gardeners or workaholics. All right. And because if we find something that we love to do, we're going to do it. You just love doing it. My uncle works all the time. You know what I'm saying? My dad worked all the time. My grandfather, from what I was told, worked all the time. You know what I mean? So I think my dad was like, if I have kids, I'm out of balance. My dad was the youngest of six boys. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, all boys.
All boys. Yeah,
Oh,
my grandparents had all boys,
he
and
ain't get to eat sometimes.
my dad. Oh no, I seen some of my dad pictures. He was a kid. He ate.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh man.
yeah, my dad ate. You know what I'm saying? But when he got to college, he was brick house because he was football. My dad was buff as hell, man. He was big, and I
Oh,
was like, I don't know if you see my son, but I was about skinny as him, like for a long time. And
okay.
everybody, my dad would pick me up from school. They'd be like, "Dad, are you really that's your daddy?" Yeah, that's
Yo, Sean
my dad.
adopted, bro.
Yeah. They were like, "You sure?" I was like, "Yeah, no, he huge, man. My dad was
Okay.
buff as shit." You know what I mean? But yeah. So I don't know how my grandfather's parenting style was, but he was strict. You know what I'm saying? But he was, pastor. You gonna stay your ass in church? You know what I mean? Like, all that. My dad grew up in church. There's pictures of my. I pulled up old pictures. It was pictures of my dad and my uncles playing with toys inside the church. You know what I mean? Like, they always was in the church. So like, yeah, so that's one thing I know for a fact that was instilled in them. But I feel like my dad was just like, I'm going to approach things a little bit different with my kids. And my dad, I guess from what I heard, my dad always wanted a bunch of kids. You
Okay.
know what I mean? And he got them. Shit.
Interesting. So with the world right now, right? Like I feel like collectively, like you
Mm.
can't, collectively the world has changed. Because at one point it literally was like or at least it seemed to me like the expectation was the mom is gonna always be there and the dads might be there sometimes. Like for the world. That
Mhm.
whereas now it seems like as you look around, it feels like more dads are present in their kids' life. More dads are like really actively putting forth effort to be there and do the right thing, if you will, whatever that means. Um, with the way the world has changed right now, what do you think is your biggest fear for your children?
I think my biggest fear for my children, like I said, when my father passed when I was 13. I don't want that to happen to my kids. That's my
Mm,
biggest fear. I want to see them grow up. I want to see them, thrive. I want to see what they become. You know what I mean? I don't want them to grow up without me. You know, so that's my biggest fear is them growing up without me. That's what I don't want. That scares me. Another thing is I don't want my children to not be able to be kids. You know, I had a lot of responsibility growing up. You know what I mean? I had way too much responsibility growing up, and I don't want them to feel like they need to take on their parents' stress to make sure that things go on the way it needs to be. No, stay in the child's place. Be a kid for as long as you be a kid, because as soon as you stop being a kid, you're an adult for the rest of your life.
Rapidly.
Don't worry. Yes, you're going to learn about money. Yes, you're going to learn how to save. Yes, you're going to learn how to invest, but you don't need to worry about my bills. You know, you don't need to worry about where your next meal is coming from. You don't need to worry about these things. Stay a kid, be a
Yeah.
kid, learn, soak it up, and then grow up. So and I want them to always have their mom and dad in their life. So it was just like, those are things I fear. But you know, we I grew up in impoverished areas, and I was one of the few kids. Like my dad was everybody's dad on the block. You know what I'm saying? Because my dad was home, and a lot of kids' dads weren't. And because they weren't, my dad was like, whoever you playing with, tell them all to come on, we're gonna get ice cream. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's how my dad was. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I understand what you're saying, but I also feel like the lights on dads have gotten brighter on people. I don't think it's so much dads are just now out of nowhere stepping up to be more in present dad. I just think they've always been there. Just this that wasn't the thing to talk about for likes.
Interesting. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
was that wasn't the thing to put a shine on for news media coverage. Good dads or black fathers. Period. You know,
Mm.
because even when I mean, like I said, I might not have seen certain dads in my neighborhoods, but when I go to school, I still see some black dads dropping their kids off and being there. Daughters and dads and donuts and shit. I seen dads there. You know
Wow.
what I mean? But that wasn't a prevalent thing to speak about. What was the news coverage more leaning towards? It was, absentee fathers,
Mhm.
black dads in jail. You know what I mean? That shit got news clicks and money for commercials and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now with social media, it's like, no, I'm a dad. I'm a good dad, and y'all gonna see this, and
Facts.
the media can't control that. So do I think more men are stepping up to be fathers? Yes, but do I think it's more so that the dad's always been there, and it's just now it's a popular thing to see?
Just a brighter light
You know what I mean?
on.
It's now it's a brighter light on.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
that's interesting. See, in those kinds of situations, because like, for everybody, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's experiencing something unique in their own particular world. Like, I remember like the parallels between me and like I'll use the example. One of my good friends when I was growing up, both his parents were together. They've been together, and his dad was one of those. Hey, I'm home from work. I'm trying to go sleep. Don't nobody make no noise up here, right?
Right.
Whereas my dad would send the money for my school stuff and the money for my this, and then I might see my dad once a year, like
Mm,
because we lived in two different countries. But the thing about it is like those were choices, right? So like for my dad, he chilled. That's him. He's like, I can come visit you more, or you can come visit me more, but that's not a choice I'm making. I look now at the dynamic of my boy who had his dad here the whole time and dot dot dot. He's got a kid and he's doing what he's supposed to do and he's being a great father. I didn't have my dad there for quite a bit of the time, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a father. And it's like you expect it to be something different, but it's not. So in a lot of cases, people think that your upbringing is going to dictate how you are as a person, whereas honestly, I feel like in a lot of cases, the person is just always going to dictate it. The
mm,
person's always going to decide how this is going to go. I'm going to go against whatever instinct, nature, upbringing, whatever you want to call it. So in that, for someone like me as a child, not having my father present, I did a lot of they call it speaking out. They call it,
mm,
acting out, right? You acting out stuff. I did some stuff that wasn't yeah.
mm,
Um,
mm.
and I had a couple of things like one of the things I remember most prevalently is the instances. I don't know about you, but I remember the times that I almost died. Like as a kid, I don't know about you, but there's like a couple times where you like, oh, I could have died.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I grew up in the islands, and one of the things that we used to do, like for growing up in the islands, I didn't learn to swim till I was older, like 9, 10 years old.
That's funny.
I know, right? Like I'm at the
That's
beach
hilarious.
all day, every day, and I
Right.
can't swim. So I didn't learn to swim when I was older. So one of the things I used to do, I used to go out with my boys. I used to always hang out with my boys, and these are usually people older than me. Almost all the time, it was older than me. I was a young kid. I was just always looking to be around older people, older male role models or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember once we went out, and everybody like this is when we first learning how to swim. So you learn how to swim along the shore. So you like, okay, the water, like you can stand up when you're done, right?
Yeah.
We all decided, oh, let's swim out and come back. So we go a little bit out, turn around, come back, like, oh, okay, you did it, I did it too. What? Let's go further. I bet. Oh, we go out, bro. On my way back in, that stamina went out.
Yeah.
And I don't know where to put my feet down, and ain't no ground there to touch. So I'm like drowning. And I remember it vividly. One of my boys came behind me and pushed me in my back, like pushed me to help me get that extra like 3 feet to get to shore. Or else that would have been a wrap. Like I would have drowned that day. I didn't have no more energy. So I say all that to say there's several instances in my life where I've done something that I was like, please, Lord, don't make my kids do this nonsense. What is something that you've done in your childhood that you can think of, like a vivid moment where you're like, man, I hope my child never does X?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really done anything crazy where I just don't want my kids to not do. I'm trying to think. As a kid. Well, okay. Well, here's the thing. Let me tell you why I say that. Is because for all intents and purposes, I didn't have like a quote unquote childhood.
Okay.
Interesting. So as far as like being mischievous, like a mischievous child, and like sneaking out at night or doing things crazy like that, you know what I'm saying? I didn't get to do because I felt like I had to be responsible for my siblings all the time. You know what I mean? So I was just like, all right, I ain't gonna be out here doing no stupid stuff, man. I can't. I gotta get home. You know what I mean? I mean, if anything, I wouldn't want my I wouldn't want my kids to be out there in the streets fighting. Like I got to some fights, joining gangs and things like that. I mean, that's okay. So I'll say that I won't want my kids to do that. I won't want my kids out here trying to gang bang and fighting. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want that. So I guess that'll be my answer to the question. But outside of anything like being a child being mischievous or anything like that, I really didn't do much of because I felt that I owed a certain level of responsibility to the 4 or 5 under me. You know what I mean? So it was just like, I had an opportunity. Like when my father passed, my mom was like, "Well, do you want to stay in California with, your aunt and uncle?" And I looked at my siblings and I was like, I gotta go to Michigan. I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, who gonna watch my sisters? I got 3 sisters. Who gonna watch them? You know what I'm saying? My brother is a hothead. Well, at the time, he was a hothead. So it's just like, who gonna try to tame him? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, let me go, and let me hold it down. So I didn't have much after school extracurricular activities. I didn't have, much of anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it was all my childhood was pretty much devoted to my siblings and making sure that they accomplish what they set out. So I don't really have too much like, outside of the 2, like I said, fighting. I still got scars on my knuckles, man. I did a lot of fighting. I wouldn't want my kids getting into all that. Even though my son, he trying, he knuckled up a couple kids. You know what I'm saying? But
boy,
man, I don't want it.
Look, and let's call it what it is. How tall is your son, John?
How tall is Landon? Oh man, about 5 foot almost.
Okay.
He's tall.
So, for the listeners, for everybody who don't know, tell them how tall you and Ebony
are. My wife. You silly, man. You make it seem like we giants, dog. We not.
To me, To me, y'all
Nah.
from Asgard. Like I call
Oh
it what
my
you
God.
want. To
Man,
someone like me, so I'm 5'8". I don't care what my license say.
you are not 5'8".
Don't take it from me, man.
Oh
And we
man.
went out to dinner that one time, and y'all were already there, so y'all was sitting down. So like I didn't get the full effect when we got there. It
Oh
wasn't
man.
until we left and y'all got up. And bro, I'm not gonna lie, we dapped up like when y'all was leaving, we dapped up, and I was like, "Oh, I feel safe."
Oh man, you are hilarious,
Oh my
dog.
goodness.
Oh man.
So I mean, yeah, for your son to be getting into stuff, man, it's like, oh yeah, this not no little guy.
And
Like,
no, he don't listen. He don't look his age. You know, if you converse with him, he don't sound his age. You know, he's. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's still an 11-year-old boy. You know what I mean? But he does have some maturity to him that it shocks me at times. You know what I'm saying? You know, but you know, my wife is 5'9". I'm 6'1". You know what I'm saying? It's not. You make it seem like we just, super tall. You know what I'm saying?
together though,
Yeah,
like, cause
feel you.
I lived in this delusion for a hot minute. I was like, I'm 5'8". I lived in this delusion. Actually, even Maddie pointed out on my license and said I was 5'7", but that's not here nor there.
No, it's not okay.
Yeah, no, that doesn't exist. So then I met y'all. So we leaving this restaurant, and as we're leaving, I'm like, oh, okay. It wasn't until we walked up, like, oh. It wasn't until I walked up to y'all and realized, oh, they're not small.
No.
Oh, man.
And
Oh my God.
I'm a wide cat. You know what I'm saying? So I get that too because I used to lift weights a lot and
Yep,
real heavy. So I'm a big dude. So it's
I
just like,
believe it.
it didn't. I hear that a lot. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay, let me ask you this. Because it seemed like, at least the impression that I'm getting, like as a kid, you're pretty tame. Like your lifestyle seemed pretty tame. What's something you did? Like, what was the most embarrassing thing that happened to you as a child? Like, whether it be at school or I don't know, even at home. Like, what's one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to you?
Embarrassing. I mean, we joke and crack jokes, and things get left from there. You know what I'm saying? Or like, you know, people clown you at school, you get bullied, you know what I mean? Like I got bullied in like 6th grade until I got tired of it and fought back. Um, you know, Embarrassing. So I had to think about that while I'm talking. I used to have a really bad thumb sucking problem, like really bad, very bad.
To
I
what
used to,
age?
till about 12.
Oh,
Yeah, I sucked my thumb till I was 12. You want there, so there you go, embarrassing. So it took so long for me to crack it. I think what made it stop was girls. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
None of the girl they gonna let you touch them with a wet thumb. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, all right, let me chill out. Yeah, you can't do that. So embarrassing. What?
Why your thumb look like it just got out the pool?
And it look like, and it's flat. You know what I'm saying? Oh my god!
Oh my gosh.
I'm surprised that it ended with buck teeth. You feel me?
Oh, that's the typical thing. You pull them teeth
Yeah,
forward.
it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So
Oh
I'm
man.
thankful, but yeah, I had a very bad thumb sucking problem. But
Wow.
when I did suck my thumb, I fidget with my clothes. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, it's some soothing shit. I
Okay.
still fidget with my clothes, but I don't suck my thumb. But anyway, so embarrassing moment. I was my mom hated it. And she was like, "You're always putting weird creases in your clothes or whatever. You keep on doing that, you're not gonna like what happens next." So I'm like, "All right, man, whatever." So I'm a kid. I'm like 8. You know what I'm saying? I'm sucking my thumb. I get the crease in my clothes. My mom put me in the living room in my drawers and socks in, in the middle of the day to keep me from creasing my clothes because I'm fidgeting and sucking my. So
Oh shoot!
people come over and they're like, "Why Sean naked sitting on the floor?"
Oh, he just hot. He hot. It's hot in here.
Oh man, that shit. Yeah, I
Mama could
remember
have
that.
gave you a
Yeah.
robe, man. That ain't right.
Yeah, nah, she was sick of it. She was trying to break me from sucking my thumb, but
Oh,
it had nothing to do with her. I had a babysitter who put nail polish remover on my thumb, trying to get me to stop sucking my thumb.
oh,
Somebody else put hot sauce on my finger to start trying to get me to stop sucking my thumb, but all that didn't work. It was girls
oh
trying to
wow.
hold their
There you
hand, bro.
go. There you go. That's too. He said, "Trying to hold my hand." Oh,
Yeah, man.
why y'all here? What?
Yeah. You can't be trying to grip girls up with
Oh
wet
shoot.
fingers, man. That's
That's fun.
nasty.
Yeah, that thumb sucking thing. I mean, that is a soothing. Like I have the ears thing. I mess with my ears. And I remember my little brother. My mom actually tried aloe, like aloe vera,
Mm.
rubbed it on his thumb. Man, that backfired so much. My mom did that. My brother went in. That boy threw up for a good half an hour straight.
Yeah,
He
man.
just kept throwing it like, "You got to clean this up. I didn't sign up for this."
Right. Yeah, no, it's soothing. Like I said, I still picture with my clothes, or I like rub it on Ebony ear or whatever. You know,
Yeah,
so we chilling, and
yeah.
that's my thing. Where I picked up a bad tongue chewing uh thing, so habit. So I do that too.
Okay.
But you know, I'm no more thumb sucking. I can't even do it.
No, suck it. So wait, what age? When did you meet? Because you, from what I understand, you and Ebony been together for a hot minute, right?
Yes, we've been together 17 since we were 17.
17.
Mm-hmm.
17. So your thumbs was dry by then.
Oh yeah, they were dry. They
Okay.
were dry and didn't taste good no more. After about it, yeah, that was good. That was good. Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
what do you feel allowed you to be able to go at age 17? Because let's be real, as a young man, that's really when stuff is kicking in. Like you don't know your body be betraying you at that point. Like your body does stuff. Oh, let's go to church. Nah, let's go jump off a building. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What do you think allowed you to be able to hold on? Like to bro, it's a rare thing for anybody to be like, oh yeah, we've been together since high school.
Mm-hmm.
It's so rare in this world. I mean, yes, it happens, but it's rare. What do you think was your guys's, I don't know, secret weapon?
um, you know what? Secret, because it's not really a secret weapon.
Okay.
Oh man, you know the whole thing of like, we going to church and I want to jump off a building. I never been rambunctious.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like the way I'm laid back now, I've
yeah.
been like this my whole life. Believe it or not. You know what I'm
I
saying?
feel you. I feel you.
You know, so like I've this demeanor has always annoyed Ebony. You know what I mean? It's just like, yo, you are just unnaturally calm at all times, and it's just how I am. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know, but as far as me and Ebony is concerned, I truly feel that from a young age, I always had like this weird, well, from what people define it now as maturity. I did back then. It was just more like I don't like to do the things that y'all like to do. You know what I mean? And it's
Mm,
just like certain things in women didn't interest me as other people found it interesting. You know what
huh.
I'm saying? So when it came down to like trying to date, I always had a hard time relating with certain people on certain topics because of certain their mentality they was having. It was just always off putting to me. So I was just like, let me move on.
I feel you on that.
Ebony is the only woman, young lady, girl, whatever,
Hmm.
that made me nervous talking to her.
Hmm.
I have no problem, ever had a problem talking to her, ever. And as a teenager, you know what I'm saying? And I would talk to her, man, and I'm just, you know what I mean? I was like, damn, what the heck? What is going on? Like, I'm like, I might be quiet and reserved, but I'm not really like shy. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But she made me feel shy. Like I didn't like trying to ask her to prom. I am trying. I had to like boast myself up to do it by talking to other people around the school. Like, yeah, man, I think I want to ask Emily out to prom. You know what I'm saying? Da, 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 da. You know, and people running their mouth went back to her.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It was like, Sean gonna ask you to prom. You gonna ask you to prom or whatever. So I think at first she was just like, all right, I'm gonna let him. I'm gonna wait till he do it. But I kept having to try to get the balls to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then one day she like cornered me in the hallway at school, like, don't you got something to ask me? What you talking about? Like, I'm like, what are you talking about? Listen, I'll ask you later, man. You know, I got something to do. I'm going to class. I ask you after school. No. Ask me now. Ask me now. What was you
No,
trying to ask?
no, she didn't.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. She cornered me, so I was just like, all right,
That's
you know,
amazing.
I
Don't
want
you got something to ask me?
I want to take you to prom. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, was that so hard? I'm like, it was kind of. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was cool, man. But
Oh my
yeah,
God.
she's the only person to make me feel like shy to talk to and things like that, you know. And she doesn't act like to this day she doesn't act like she know what I'm talking about all the time, which I find cute because that allows me the opportunity to educate her where my mind is at on some things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? You know, I feel like as men we always want to be in a position to lead. We want to be in a position to cater or teach or take care of a problem or solve something or whatever, you know. And
Excellent.
as independent as Ebony is, there's always opportunities for me to lead, you know. And even in high school, if I'm talking about something, you know, astrology or why I got a telescope and why I'm like looking at the stars and things like that, she listening, but then she just be like, I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
okay, well, let me tell you. You know what I mean? She's
yeah,
not fronting. You know what I mean? She's never
yeah.
like, oh, okay, I know what that is. And then like, do you really? You know what I mean? Like, you know, so but like she always like and like I said to this day, we have conversations. She be like, "You gonna have to elaborate." So I have no
Yeah.
idea what that means. You know, what I mean, so I get some chance for us to, you know, continue to connect on. And it always ended up being a thing of we're nothing about our time frame. Um, do we feel like we're forcing the relationship to keep going? You
Oh,
know,
okay.
you see people feel like they're pulling teeth to keep the track going. You
Yeah.
know, they're on the track pulling the train to try to, we riding on the train, you know what I'm saying? We were kids and we broke up for a year and some change. You know what I'm saying? And we got back together just on some like when I say we broke up, like we broke up. We stopped talking, you know what I mean? We went on
Yeah.
with our lives
How old are you at this
and
point?
19,
19.
19,
So you
20.
out of high school. You doing your own thing.
Yeah. I was living on my own. I had my own spot, you know, all that, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I was living with my homeboys and shit like that. So it was just like, you know, we broke up and uh we stopped talking. She was in college, I was not. And we started trying to be friends again. And even all intents and purposes, when I was trying to date other people, you know, people be like, you know, I'm feeling this like weird thing that I can't connect with you all the way. And I'm like, look, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm still in love with my ex. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to figure out a way to get over it and shit like that. And it just wasn't working. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And we started just talking as like friends, like who you dating? Oh, who you dating? Oh, where? How that going? Oh, he lame. You know what I mean? You know, just talking crap. You know what I'm saying? So you trying to just be friends, but you can't just be friends with that type of person or type of energy.
You're
You know what I'm
not.
saying? So then
Yeah.
everything starts coming back. So then now we're married with kids. You know what I'm saying? And to this day, it's the same thing. I cannot live without this person. Somebody asked me, "Oh, how you know when you want to be married with somebody, or how do you know you can spend the rest of your life with somebody when you realize you can't spend the rest of your life without that person?"
Hmm.
You know,
Interesting.
that's for me. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah,
and that's how I look at Ebony. I can't. There's no one in this world I can put a replace her with or put above her, anything like that. You know what I mean? There's no one that I would want to try to do that with. And God forbid if anything were to happen to her, I'll just be a single person with kids. You feel me?
That's, yeah.
I wouldn't be able to replace that energy because, you know, her and I were speaking earlier in the week and she was just saying, she was like, we've been together like going on 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
How do you replace that?
Right. That's a
How do
deep
you
thought.
yeah, how do you start over with somebody else? That's you know, that's the thing. I think I came in the house, I had some chicken wings or whatever, and I had like a container of ranch in my pocket. And I knew she was gonna ask for the ranch. I was just waiting. And I handed her the chicken wings and she was like, yeah, this would be great if I had some some ranch. And she was like, yeah,
I love it. I love it. You
and she was
mean
like,
this?
yeah. And she was like, see, you won't get that, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying, from somebody who don't like know you. And it was like, how do you do that? You know what I mean? And
absolutely. Wow.
yeah, so yeah,
That's
it's great.
beautiful, man. That's absolutely beautiful. So let me ask you this: how was it for you to see your girlfriend, because, and I don't, you'll have to fill in the blanks for me. Did you saw your girlfriend, young wife at this point, and now she's about to be a mother? Like, how was that transition for you? Like, to see that light, see her in that light.
Um, I don't know if you heard stories from Maddie, but Ebony is hardcore.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. No, let fill me
Uh,
in.
so my wife has always been tough. You know what I'm saying? And we were married when uh she got pregnant with Landon
Hmm.
and all that. So yeah, she was my wife the whole time. But my wife is always very very tough. So it just felt it was cute seeing her pregnant. It was cute, you know, seeing her going through the motions and things like that. And
Yeah.
you know, I enjoyed it. And she had, you know, little baby belly and all that stuff, and it was amazing, man. It was also freaking me out because it was just like, wow, you know, I'm about to be a dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm about to, and that was freaking me out. It was freaking me out, like in the sense of I watched you go from a child to a whole woman with a kid. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you really pregnant with my child. Like this is nuts. You know what I'm saying? Like everything just seems so surreal. You know what I mean?
Wow. Wow.
Like
So yeah.
even
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was like, even in the delivery room, I was just like stuck. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I was so stuck in the moment of her during labor that she cussed me out for years because I wasn't that much of a help. You know what I'm saying, in the delivery room because I was so like, you know, like shocked, like whoa, this is really happening. You know what I mean? So she
I
was
love it.
like, yeah, man. She was like, if we do this again, you better be rubbing my back, getting me some ice. You better be doing something. You know what I mean? So I was just like, all
Oh
right,
my
my bad.
gosh. It said,
I
whoa.
yes, and let the record state that I did redeem myself when she was giving birth to my daughter. So
There you
I was
go.
there. I was highly attentive. I made sure she had everything. She,
Had the heat pack, got everything.
yeah,
We're ready to
I was
go.
there. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's funny, man. That's exactly what I was gonna ask. Is like how that actual physical transition went to like seeing. Okay, you know, we out here, and I'm, walking around smacking your butt, and then the next thing you know, I turn around and there's a baby on your titty. Like
hmm
how like that transition. Like, do you feel like you transformed in that point, or do you feel like you were just good to go, like nothing changed for you?
Um, you know what's funny? Like I said, I grew up pretty much helping raise my siblings, so changing diapers or dealing with a crying baby in the middle of the night, or you know, feeding all that stuff. The whole nine was not new to me. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? The new part was is that it's mine. You know what I mean? And you know, I told Ebony this, and I was like, you know, me and Ebony have something called transparent moments. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, I want to have a transparent moment with you. I want to talk. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that opens up to have a judgment free communication conversation. You know, whatever. You know, so like whatever. But I was just always going to tell her, I said, hey, just transparency. When you got pregnant with Landon and you started feeling him kick and move, you became a mom. You became protective. You became everything that child needed you to be. I did not become a dad until like
Mm,
6 months after he was born.
wow.
Or 6 to 8 months to after he was born, because it was like I was still in shock, like, whoa, this is mine. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, oh, whoa, this is my kid. You know what I mean?
for real.
So it was just like, wait a minute, this ain't just yours. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is my kid too. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so you will address me as such. Like, I am this kid's daddy. you know, one day,
Yo.
her and I got into an argument,
Oh my god.
and we got into an argument, and she was like, you know what? I'll be back. I'm leaving. I'm gone. I'll be back. I need some air. I'm like, go ahead, leave, go. She gets her coat, she gets her shoes, and then she starts trying to get the baby ready. I said, whoa, whoa, whoa.
You
Whoa,
said
what you
you
doing?
leave it.
What you doing? Put the kid down.
Oh shoot.
I was like, that's my kid too. You can leave, go.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll be right here when you get back. That is my kid too. Because you're not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Oh
she, you know,
Lord. Yeah.
as the more that I stepped up as this is my kid, dad, and all that, you know what I mean? And I was like living in that, like, okay, no, this is my kid. Okay, I want another one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm a dad. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
So you
And
felt
it's
that
like,
transition happen.
yeah, you just start feeling that. You start feeling the transition, because it's just like this kid is yearning for you, attention. You know what I'm saying? You smell like you know what I mean? All that. I mean,
Mhm.
my son don't look like me at all, but he is me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
My son
Absolutely.
look dead like his mama. You know what I'm saying? He look just like his mom.
Oh
So he don't look nothing like me. But it's like, damn, this is my baby. This is
yeah.
my boy, and I got him for the rest of his life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna let nobody, you know, take that away from me. You know what I'm saying? So there.
So what would be one of the biggest things you feel like that you experience, whether it be emotionally, mentally, even physically after becoming a dad? Like I was talking to somebody on the previous podcast, I was talking to my boy Alfredo about like the concept of love, right? Because like we all talk about it. Like even for your mom, your sister, your brother, you're like, oh, I love my family. I'd take a bullet for such and such. You know what I'm saying? And then you have a child, and then you go, oh, I mean, I love y'all. I would fight for y'all, die for y'all, but this right here, like I'm fighting a whole shark right now for my baby.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
legit. What is one of the things that you feel like you saw or felt after becoming a dad? Like you just know like, oh wow, this thing is I just learned this about me.
I always felt, period, that I always had like a just protective nature, period. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
So now that I have kids, I want to protect them even more so than anything else before in my life. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like, after kids, everything, like, my wife means more to me. My kids mean a lot. Like, the things that I'm able to provide for them, just become a lot more important. And just like I said earlier, you take from the previous generation and say, how do I tweak that for my generation? You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
what can we add on? Like I said, we grew up on food stamps. You know what I'm saying? My kids not living off EBT cards and things like that. You know what I
hmm,
mean? Because we are able to provide a different type of lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's not to shame anybody. That's not to shame my parents. That's not to shame anybody. They worked with what they were able to
yeah,
work with.
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I still ate. You know what I mean? I still grew up. I'm alive. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to be able to provide more for them. But it just got more important for me after my son got here. You know what I'm saying? Well, before my son got here, I was like, yeah, do this janitor job, or I'll do this manpower job. I don't need that much money. I just use a little couple dollars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These things, I ain't no savings account. You know what I mean? Like not like these things. It's like it's just me. Whatever.
I gotta worry about it. Yeah.
What we gotta worry about? You know what I'm saying? But then when my son got here, it was like, oh, whoa, okay. You know what I'm saying? Wait a minute. Cuz need diapers. You know what I'm saying? It's just like cuz need food. He need clothes. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, all right, okay, I just can't do the dead end stuff now. I gotta try to get a real job. You know what I mean? I can't spend so much time playing the video game like I want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to play the game, but then is playing the game gonna get in the way of the time that I could be using to be doing something else? You know what I mean? So it's just like, but it became important for me to feed him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ebony breastfed for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But then he started needing real, food. So it's just like, sheesh.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like that whole transition to you got to step up. This ain't a sibling. This ain't your little brother. This ain't somebody that's gonna come in your room. All right, now I get your ass out. You know what I mean? No, this is you. He gonna crawl to you. He gonna stay right there. You know what I mean?
Was that a struggle for you, or was that easy? Like to let go of yourself? Because, like you said, like I played a video game. I do, you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
Now you got to be like, all right, I'll get up.
Yeah. It was hard and not so. Just because, like I said, I gave my childhood to my siblings. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah.
So it was hard in the sense of I'm finally able to just think about myself. You know what I mean? And then now have to then again think about somebody else. Yeah. That was the only piece of the thing that I would say was like the challenge. But at the end of it though, it was just like, hey, I wanted him. Here we go. You know what I'm saying? And you start thinking about, just to call back to earlier, you start thinking about what did my dad go through with having kids? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What stuff did he? This must be one of those crossroads he had to come to when it came to having us. You know what I mean? This must have been a similar struggle of his when he had us. And that's and for the faults that our parents may have had when it come to us, it's true. Some of those grievances you let go after you have kids because you understand some of the struggles they went through. You know what I'm saying? Some of the struggles. Like I know some people whose pops wasn't there. You know what I mean? But if they talk to their pops as adults with kids and they listen to their dad, they'd be like, I kinda understand you now.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I kinda understand. It's just for you had a little bit of major obstacles in the way that you quit. You know what I mean? You let those things get to you so much where you just could not handle it. Yeah. And you know what? I forgive you. You know what I'm saying? Because I understand. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's how it comes to me with some of my angst. It's like, I understand. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I understand. I can't even fault you. You gave what you were given. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I can't fault you for what you gave me because you gave me your all. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. You gave me your all because that's what you were given. You know what I mean? Right. So then now you're just passing on. So now I'm hoping that I could give more than what I was given so that we can continue to build, generation to generation.
I love it, man. So let me ask you this. I just want to, because really one of the reasons I made this, like I said, a little bit of selfishness. I just wanted to have some cheat codes for me as a dad, like hearing how everybody else does it. Yeah. But also, I built it also because I know that there are so many people in the world that have similar stories. And, your situation, somebody out there has your situation with a slight tweak. They're not as level-headed and calm as you. So they got everything that you got going on, except they're not this. So how they can navigate them. So what's something that you feel like, whether as, something you experienced as a kid or in your parenting experience that you feel like, what's something that you would want to share, I guess, with the world that you think would be helpful from your experience?
I think a lot with me is I have and what I've learned and understand that I have a lot more patience than a lot of people, you
Okay.
know. And I think that's one thing that helps me out when it comes to parenting or even communicating or anything like that. You know, I'm not gonna let anything go crazy, but I'm gonna wait to a certain degree to see how far some things are gonna go. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You know, so I let the and I also try to let my kids make their mistake, you know,
Yeah.
so that they can learn from that. You know, you came to me, I told you not to touch it, it was hot. You know what I mean? And now you go over there and mess with it again. I'm just gonna watch you. I'm gonna watch you. I'm gonna wait and see
Yeah.
how far you go to touch this thing that I just told you was hot.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then um, I try to get them to understand from that point when they make that mistake, like, oh, dad, damn, it was hot. Exactly. I told you it was hot. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
Uh-huh.
You know, so like where Ebony would be like, well, you know, this is a situation that calls for dad to be a little bit more forceful. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, just yeah, I don't know, I don't think so. You know what I mean? But let me talk to him or chat to him and see what's up. But even the times that she would say that you need to be more forceful, she would get mad at me when I'm too dismissive sometimes.
Mm. Mhm.
So the kid burns his hand after I told him it was hot, and then he wants to come to me and ask for a bandage. No,
I told him not to go in
I'm not giving him a bandage.
there.
You know what
Yo.
I'm saying? You know,
Yeah.
let his hand blister up. I told him. And you know what I'm saying? That's a very bad thing to do. You know what I mean? And Ebony would get on my case. Like, you can't do that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, no, get up. Get up and go see what's wrong with the kid because he crying out. And I'm like, well, he should have done it. You know what I mean? Like, no, you can't do that, Sean. I'm like, get up. Get up.
Oh my god. That's hilarious, right?
So I get both sides. Sometimes dad is not too forceful, and then
Yeah.
sometimes dad is just like too dismissive. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I need to find my balance.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. And I feel you on that one 120% because I've been there a couple times, man. I told you not to touch it.
Told you. Oh, now you want a band-aid. No, let it bleed. Let it bleed. No, we ain't going to the doctor. I told you not to do it.
Oh my god, it's so true though. Oh Lord. Oh my gosh, man. Look, I can't thank you enough for doing this, man. This
Oh,
is
no problem.
I feel like this is one of those instances where you get to just you get to talk to people you experience what it's like elsewhere, right? Because like for real, like I don't know if it's just me, but I felt like I've looked at people and assume what type of father they are,
Mm,
assume what type of person they are. So I see your, and it's usually from your kids. I'm gonna call it like it is. If I'm looking at your kid and they over here and you saying, hey, stop it," 27 times, my assumption is that you're not doing what you're supposed to do as a dad.
mm,
Well,
yeah,
now
yeah, yeah.
that, and I realized, well, you can't just be a stop it because this ain't the military. You got to let them
Mm,
people have some fun every once in a while, and so on and so forth.
yeah.
So, man, finding that balance, it's one of those things that it's so hard, but it's not something that you just learn. And hearing other people talk about their experiences, hearing other people talk about how they got to the point that they are, I think it's going to be so helpful for so many people down the road. And man, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out for doing this, man.
Oh man, it's no problem, man. And listen, I tell my if I gotta tell you to stop 3 more times, you know what I mean? Me and you gonna have a problem. You know what I'm saying? See, and my dad was super strong, and with us being so small, he didn't want to whoop us. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So he would thump us. You know, give a nice little
Oh,
thump right
oh,
there.
yes.
So that's what I
Solid.
do.
Hey, you got that.
I thump you dead in the middle of your forehead. Keep playing with me.
Your birthmark look funny.
Yeah. Now it's the mark of Buddha on my forehead.
Oh my god. All right, man. Well, in closing, I guess what is one thing that if your kids have the opportunity to watch this, you know, 20 years down the road? What's something you want to tell
Um, that I love you, and I did my best.
them? I love it. I love it, man. I love it. That's so solid, though. I, I did my best, yo. Just know,
I just know I gave you an
regardless.
A+ effort.
I love it, man.
Man.
That's
I,
beautiful.
I did my best.
That's,
Man. Yeah.
well, man, I can't thank
Love
you.
me for it.
I
Oh
really, I
man, no
really
problem.
can't thank you enough, man. I think that you definitely have a great point of view. Um, I told Maddie like from the jump, I'm like, man, I just love their energy. Like you and Ebony, I like y'all energy point blank. I was actually just talking to one of my boys about this last night. Like y'all just got a good chemistry, and definitely am curious to know like how someone who has such a beautiful marriage is as a father. So I thank you for just letting
Oh
me and the
man,
rest of the
thank you,
world get some
man.
insight, man.
I appreciate that, man. Me and Ebony nuts, but Ebony's truly my best friend. You know what I mean? So I hope when she watches back, I get some brownie points.
Ah, you hear that, Ebony? Hook it up. Oh shoot! All right, bro. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. Any
All
last
right,
thing you
yo.
want to share with the world out there? Anything you feel like anybody could benefit from?
I don't know, man. Shit, think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think and be water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. You know,
Thanks, man.
because
Cool.
I'm not a philosopher yet. You know what I mean? So you know, I'll let you know when the book come out.
Oh shoot! All right, man. Well, I'm gonna let you get back to your evening, brother. Appreciate you again, man.
No, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Have a good night, bro.
Peace.